Hello everyone and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It's hard to imagine that Dylan is Electra's long-lost sister, but the moment the words left Luna's mouth at the Forrester Creations design office, the air in the room seemed to solidify. Electra froze in the middle of her sketch, her charcoal pencil hovering an inch above the page, as if the entire universe had been still. Dylan, who had only been interning at Forrester for 6 weeks, could feel every drop of blood draining from her cheeks. The two women had known each other for less than 2 months, had shared nothing more intimate than coffee runs and late-night changes, and yet here was Luna Nozawa, wide-eyed and frantic, clutching a manila folder as if it held the secrets of the universe. "I'm sorry," Electra replied softly, almost above a whisper. "Could you repeat that?" Luna gulped hard, realizing she might have just exploded a bomb in the middle of the afternoon shift. "While assisting my mother with her relocation, I discovered the original adoption papers in her old lockbox. There was a birth certificate. Dylan Marie Forrester was born on March 12, 1998, at Cedars-Sinai. The mother's name is Rebecca Forrester." The pencil fell from Electra's fingers and clattered on the glass tabletop. Rebecca Forrester was her aunt, Eric's younger sister, who allegedly perished in a vehicle accident with her newborn daughter 27 years ago. That was the family's tale, anyway. The one told around the holidays when someone raises a drink to their absent loved ones. Nobody ever indicated that the baby might have survived. Nobody ever mentioned Bill Spencer. Dylan got up so quickly that her chair rolled backward and smacked into the supply cabinet. "This is insane. My adoptive parents informed me that my biological mother died in delivery. They said there was no father listed. They said." Her voice cracked. She looked at Electra, hoping for something, denial, fury, anything, that would make this moment make sense. All she found was a mirror. The same storm-gray eyes, sharp cheekbones, and obstinate jawline that photographers were always attempting to soften for the runway. Electra's phone vibrated on the table. Steffi's name appeared on the screen. She ignored it. "Luna," she asked softly, "how certain are you?" Luna placed the folder on the table, as if it could explode. "There is a DNA confirmation from a private lab from 2 weeks after the tragedy. My mother, Poppy, was a nurse at Cedars back then. She knew Rebecca. She was present the night of the accident." Dylan's legs buckled. She caught herself on the table's edge. "You're telling me your mother helped hide the truth that our mother did not actually die? That she handed me away and orchestrated the entire thing?" Luna murmured. "I don't know. The papers state that Rebecca was under witness protection. Something to do with Spencer Publications and the exposé she was working on before becoming pregnant. Bill appears to have paid for everything, hospital expenses, a bogus death certificate, and a private adoption. There's a letter in here from him. He wrote that it was the only way to keep both of you safe." Electra eventually picked up her phone. There are now 12 missed calls, Steffi, Ridge, and her grandfather. In this family, word spread as quickly as light. She gazed at Dylan, truly looked at her, and felt the floor shift beneath her feet. All those weeks of believing this quiet, dryly hilarious girl with a perfect sense for color was just another ambitious intern, and she'd been blood all along. "We need to talk to Bill," Electra stated. Dylan laughed in a shrill, cracked tone. "Okay, sure. Let's just walk over to Spencer Publications and ask Daddy Dearest why he allowed 2 daughters grow up believing they were only children." But as she spoke, her hand reached across the table, not quite touching Electra's, but close enough that they both felt a spark of recognition. An hour later, they were in the back seat of an Uber, cruising silently toward Bill Spencer's dazzling tower. Electra kept looking at Dylan's reflection in the window. Same profile. Same tense behavior of twisting the silver ring on her right hand while thinking. It appears that everything remains the same. Katie Logan was waiting for them on the top floor, arms crossed and with a thundering face. "He's in a meeting," she said, then paused. Her gaze flickered between the two young women, and something moved behind them. Recognition, perhaps, or horror. Bill's voice echoed from inside the office. "Oh my God." Katie, tell whoever it is to. He emerged in the doorway, tie dangling, phone to his ear, and the words faded. The phone slid from his grasp and landed on the marble floor with the sound of a gunshot. For a long time, nobody moved. Bill then took a tentative step forward, followed by another, until he was close enough to see what everyone else had. Rebecca's eyes, he murmured hoarsely. Both of you. Dylan discovered her voice first. You have 10 seconds to explain why you led us to believe our mother had died. Bill's famed calmness shattered wide apart. He appeared unexpectedly aged and smaller than the larger-than-life despot who adorned magazine covers. Because she asked me to, he explained. Rebecca came to me, 8 months pregnant and afraid. She'd stumbled into something, money laundering, offshore accounts, and threats against anyone who came too close. She claimed that the only way to safeguard the baby was to disappear totally. I arranged everything. The accident report. The casket is closed. The adoption through a friend of a friend. I thought, his voice cracked. I thought there was only one baby. Electra felt the room swirl. There was only one baby, she explained.
Me.
My parents adopted me 6 months later. Eric and Stephanie desired a child, and Rebecca's death made it possible. Clean. Bill shook his head.
No.
There were 2. The hospital records had been amended to depict a single birth, and mine was the only copy that told the reality. Rebecca went into labor early. Complications. They informed her that one of you didn't make it. She believed them. She signed the papers, believing she was giving up her only living kid. He stared at Dylan. I had no idea they had also lied to her. Katie took a step forward, her eyes welling up with tears. Bill, what have you done? I kept the secret, he whispered. For 27 years. I sent money to both sets of adoptive parents. I observed from a distance. I told myself it was noble. He chuckled cruelly. Turns out I'm just another coward who destroyed his children to save his own skin. Dylan shook his shoulders and turned away. Electra moved without thinking, wrapped her arms around the sister she didn't realize she had. Dylan froze for a heartbeat before collapsing into Electra's embrace, sobbing onto her shoulder as if all of his life's pain had finally found its target. Bill dropped into the nearest chair, head in hands. Rebecca never knew, he stated. She actually died 3 years ago in Oregon. Cancer. I was with her to the end. She continued asking about her little girl. Singular. I let her die believing only half the narrative. The sisters clung to each other while the grown-ups who had shaped their lives in absentia crumbled around them. Later, hours later, after testimonies to the police concerning fake documents, after lawyers were called, and after Eric Forrester himself arrived white-faced and trembling, they sat together on the leather couch in Bill's office, knees touching, afraid to let go now that they'd found each other. I used to have dreams about having a sister, Dylan stated gently. Someone who understood why I never really fit in with the family that raised me. Someone who became enraged in the same way as I did. Someone who despised having her picture taken but secretly adored the clothes. Electra sighed a moist laugh. I used to create 2 stick figures holding hands when I was younger. Stephanie, my mother, assumed it was me and my imaginary companion. She had no idea it was us. Bill stared by the window, watching the city lights flicker below. I can't fix this, he admitted. I can't give you back the years. But I can tell you the truth now. And I can give you each other. Dylan glanced at Electra. Isn't it strange that I don't dislike him? Do I just feel empty? No, Electra replied. I feel it too. Like there's this massive void where a lifetime of memory should be, and now it's suddenly full of a person. They sat in quiet for a long time, 2 ladies who had spent their entire lives as only children learning what it was like to be part of a couple. Dylan eventually spoke again, his voice quiet but steady. I always wondered why I was pulled to Forrester Designs before applying for the internship. It was as if I was coming home without realizing it. Electra grabbed her hand. Welcome home, sis. Outside, Los Angeles continued to spin, traffic creeping down Wilshire, and paparazzi had already gathered at the building's entrance after the story had spread. Inside, Two sisters who had been strangers an hour before began the long, dirty, and joyful journey of becoming family. Bill turned from the window, his eyes red-rimmed yet determined. Whatever you need, therapy, time, space, answers, I'll provide it. No more secrets, said Electra, looking at Dylan. Dylan gazed at Electra. They looked at the man who had inadvertently broken their world apart and was now the only one who could help them piece it back together. Start, Electra replied, with telling us everything. Every detail. Every year, you watched us from afar. She drew a hesitant breath. Then we figure out who we are now that we know who we've always been. Dylan nodded, tightening her fingers around her sister's. And maybe, she said softly, we'll figure out who Mom truly was. The woman who loved us enough to lose us. Bill Spencer nodded, his dollar bill sword necklace glinting in the waning light. For the first time in decades, the man who owned half of Los Angeles appeared to have no idea what would happen next. But the two women on the couch, his never-claimed daughters, did. They had each other now. And that was at least the beginning. Across town, in the Forrester mansion, Eric glanced over the DNA results Ridge had handed him an hour ago. His brother's granddaughter, his granddaughter, is alive. Another branch of the family tree he'd assumed had died decades ago. He closed his eyes, recalling Rebecca's giggle, her strong wit, and how as a teenager, she would sneak into the studio and rework his gowns when no one was looking. Call them home, he finally stated. The two of them. Ridge paused. It's time the Forrester family met its newest members. Dad, the press. Let them print what they want, Eric answered, his voice level for the first time since the news broke. We have survived worse. And this is a miracle disguised as a scandal. In the guest house, Luna sat on her bed, staring at the empty lockbox. She didn't mean to upend people's lives. She had merely been looking for her birth certificate. But maybe, she reasoned, certain facts are too huge to be buried forever. And maybe, just maybe, tearing up a family was the only way to bring it back together again. Back in Bill's office, night had fallen completely. The sisters had not moved from the couch. Their hands were still intertwined. I'm scared, Dylan said. Me too, Electra replied. Good, Dylan replied, her dry humor returning. If we weren't afraid, we would be psychopaths. But we'll be terrified together. Electra grinned, her first genuine smile all day. Together, she repeated. Outside the door, Katie felt something loosen in her chest as she heard their low voices weave together like thread on a loom. Perhaps this calamity will evolve into something else. Perhaps blood wasn't always considered a curse in this village. Inside, two ladies who had spent their lives looking for belonging without realizing what they were missing finally saw each other and recognized home. It was difficult to believe Dylan was Electra's long-lost sister. But belief was no longer needed. They were here. They were real. They were, despite all odds, family. And in a city founded on falsehoods and illusions, that seemed like the most deadly truth of all. It's difficult to imagine Dylan could be Electra's long-lost sister, but stunning family revelations are almost a given on the bold and the beautiful. The concept alone sends shockwaves through every relationship around them, and the emotional and dramatic possibilities are limitless. If this twist is genuine, it will not only rewrite the history of the two women involved, it will also destroy relationships, reveal long-held secrets, and push other individuals to reconsider all they thought they knew about their families, romances, and even their own identities. Dylan's initial appearance in Los Angeles left onlookers with an enigmatic impression. She held herself with a mix of confidence and careful constraint, implying buried anguish, unanswered questions, and a past she wasn't ready to reveal. Her contacts with others were cordial and careful. She rarely shared specifics about her childhood, sometimes avoiding questions with imprecise responses or completely ignoring them. At first glance, this appeared to be a typical soap opera mystery, a terrible upbringing, an alienated father, nothing out of the ordinary for a new character. But as her story progressed, the sense of mystery became more purposeful, almost as if the show was setting the groundwork for something far larger. In contrast, Electra has been a dramatic force since she first appeared on the canvas. Fierce, ambitious, emotionally unpredictable, and very sensitive beneath the bravado, she has evolved into a multifaceted figure who admires, adore, detest, and pity in equal measure. Her place in the world of the bold and the beautiful has always been defined by tension. Tension between her aspirations and worries, her ambitions and insecurities, her longing for connection, and her dread of losing anyone she dares to love. The discovery of a secret brother would shock her severely. It may either provide her with a sense of belonging she has always desired or plunge her deeper into inner turmoil. To envision Dylan and Electra sharing blood raises a slew of ramifications at once. Their stark personality differences would make the unveiling all the more exciting. But underneath those contrasts is an undeniable parallel. Both ladies have emotional scars that they rarely disclose. Both appear to be the product of a childhood that lacked clarity and consistency. Both are drawn to strong relationships because something inside them feels unanchored. Viewers have always speculated that Electra's shattered upbringing, characterized by abandonment, bereavement, or secrets her guardians refused to reveal, was a wound that now influences her every decision. If Dylan has similar pains, the revelation makes lyrical sense. The circumstances behind their breakup will be extremely important. Was there an adoption cover-up? Is there a hospital mix-up? Is a parent concealing a pregnancy to prevent scandal? A tragic tragedy that separated the siblings? Each possibility has its own emotional consequence, not just on the sisters, but on the entire ensemble of characters who are connected to them. The persons who kept the secret, whether living or deceased, would suddenly become crucial to the plot. Their motivations, lies, and the consequences of their decisions would have a far-reaching impact. Discovering a long-lost sister would reawaken emotional wounds that Electra had worked hard to close. She's spent years trying to make herself into someone strong, someone who doesn't need anyone, someone who can succeed in the ruthless world around her without relying on others. But deep down, she has always desired family, a true, genuine bond that is not transactional or riddled with betrayal. Dylan's abrupt presence as a biological sister may overwhelm her with feelings of optimism, disbelief, wrath, and longing. She may fear being hurt again. She might reject Dylan at first, certain that the unveiling is a ruse. Or she might cling to the potential, fearful that the truth would go as quickly as it appears. Dylan, for her part, may not even be aware of the complete reality. If she grew up assuming she was an only child, she may be equally shocked, if not devastated, by the truth. She might dislike her parents or guardians for keeping the truth from her. She may feel sorry because Electra endured without realizing she had a sibling. Or she may be concerned that Electra will reject her, believing that the disturbed lady does not have room in her life for a new familial relationship. The emotional depths could result in some of the show's richest narrative in years. Consider the scene. Dylan hesitantly approaches Electra's door, unsure whether to knock. Electra paces in her flat, caught between wanting to yell at Dylan and hug her. Conversations with friends, mentors, and lovers, each revealing their concerns and hopes. Tears, confrontations, frantic pleadings, and quiet moments of mutual vulnerability. Identity redefinition, confronting old sorrow, and the timid yet powerful finding of new love via sisterhood. Aside from the emotional repercussions, the ripple effects on other relationships could be enormous. If either woman has romantic ties with people that have their own feuds or affiliations within the Spencer, Forrester, or Logan clans, those relationships will definitely suffer. The revelation could jeopardize current relationships, particularly if either woman feels unsupported or condemned. Alternatively, a love partner may provide as an important source of consolation, strengthening their bond. On the commercial front, this new familial tie may alter power relations. If either lady acquires access to inheritance claims, last names, or long-buried family secrets, the situation could soon worsen. A shared last name may give one of them clout within a fashion empire, or jeopardize the legitimacy of someone else's claim. Rivalries that seemed unrelated could suddenly intertwine, resulting in new alliances and conflicts. Then there's the question of who knew the truth but kept it hidden. Secrets like this are rarely buried on their own. Someone always gains from silence. Some people are always afraid of being exposed. Maybe an elderly family friend knows the truth. Perhaps a medical worker altered records out of fear, coercion, or misplaced mercy. Perhaps a parent died with a secret, leaving behind cryptic clues like an undiscovered letter that Dylan or Electra will soon find. The disclosure might spark a mystery narrative in which the sisters work together, however reluctantly, to sift through records, encounter old acquaintances, and piece together the tragedy or intrigue that separated them. If the two ladies accept their newfound kinship, it may be one of the show's most powerful relationships. Sisters in soap operas frequently have intense, layered arcs, ranging from faithful partnerships to cataclysmic betrayals. However, when the relationship arises in maturity, following years of loneliness and grief, the stakes rise even higher. Their friendship has the potential to become one of the show's most emotionally powerful storylines, two women finding the family they've always desired in each other, while learning to trust, forgive, and grow. Of course, in the bold and the beautiful, peace does not stay long. Even if the sisters initially agree, difficulties are unavoidable. Dylan's peaceful reflection contrasts sharply with Electra's fiery impulsivity. Their careers or objectives may collide. Their romantic partners may be wary of the new family ties. Alternatively, a third character, perhaps a jealous rival or someone wounded by the truth being revealed, might intentionally destroy their growing romance. Electra may spiral under emotional pressure, pushing Dylan away in a time of fear or uncertainty. Dylan may struggle with Electra's intense emotions, unsure how to nurture someone with such fresh wounds. Miscommunication had the potential to separate them as quickly as it had brought them together. Despite the tension, the heart of the story stays the same. Two women learn they are not as alone as they thought. Whether the revelation leads to healing, heartbreak, or something in between, the plot provides numerous opportunities for exploration, identity, family, forgiveness, resentment, hope, and the complex beauty of human connection. Fans will undoubtedly argue each step of the route. Some will want Dylan and Electra to embrace right away. Others will choose a slow-burn reunion replete with dramatic confrontations. Others will infer hidden intentions. Others will totally support sisterly love. The emotional stakes guarantee that viewers don't just watch the plot, but feel it. And that's what makes this twist so appealing. It does not simply produce drama for the sake of drama. It addresses universal questions, such as who we are without our families. How much of our identity is derived from blood? How can we recover from loss when we realize the past was not what we thought? Can two damaged histories come together to become something whole? If Dylan genuinely is Electra's long-lost sister, the shock may only be the beginning. Their journey, from strangers to siblings, from confusion to clarity, and from fear to trust, has the potential to be one of the most remarkable storylines in bold and the beautiful history. It will test them, change them, and eventually expose who they are at their heart. And whether they wind up as inseparable partners or conflicted adversaries linked by blood, one thing is certain: nothing in their lives, or the lives of those around them, will ever be the same.